And to bring your attention, our environment is different from the others because we're a funding agency based in the Catalonia. It's the northern east region in Spain. And we're an agency for the management of university and research grants. We are public, and we have been awarding scholarships and grants for over 20 years in all fields of science. We have a very specific mission, which is to be very close to our stakeholders. As a region, we know all types of the stakeholders, and we would like to be more egalitarian and build a free society throughout our knowledge, helping people and passions and dreams come true. So this is one of the issues that we will be tackling in our program. So we run 30 grant programs on talent attraction, capacity building, and knowledge transfer, and with a budget of around 200 million per year. And we have a database with 5,000 assessment experts. All our procedures are very standardized and have been certified by the ISO procedures. And we also look for to be very aligned with European policy standards. So we have also been awarded with the HR Excellence Seal for our human resources strategy for supporting researchers. So even if we are a region, we have a very wide ecosystem. We have 12 universities and 64 research performing organizations which benefit from our grants. And more or less, this means a community of 30,000 researchers and 300,000 approximate students. So we said we're a policy instrument, operational instrument. So we are aligned with the policies that our department, our ministry from research at universities deal with. So we do it through the funding on the competitive cost, the research assessment. We carry out the activities for mutual learning and knowledge exchanges, and the researchers' mobility and careers development support as an access counterpoint. We also support internationalization through training and coaching activities to foster European grants. And in this sense, we found that we needed to change, and we needed to cover more self-sustaining and responsible research and innovation exercise to commit to all these policies in a more transparent, open, and democratic way, to be accountable and more responsible for all the use of our public resources. So this is why we decided to go deep into this RRI approach to cover our objectives on the promotion of social responsibility in our grants and programs, and identifying those who were really linked to the policies we had to implement. The policies that are covered through the National Pact for the Knowledge Society, and also advancing towards this European open science policy, which we all should commit to. So here our involvement in the GRACE project was really the key to enable our participation or our understanding of all these RRI principles and how we should cover them within our grant system, which is different from other perspectives of doing science. And the self-assessment tools that Luciano already talked about were really essential for us to be able to understand and tackle the measures that we have to implement, and in this sense, identify how to enable the change. So our strategy in this case is twofold. Somehow we are in halfway between the research funding organizations and the policymakers. So in a first, principally, we wanted to have an holistic RRI framework for our management system. So driving institutional change on especially showing awareness and knowledge to our management staff was essential, and embedding these RRI issues on our research funding programs. And on the other hand, fostering and tackling these policies and orienting the research institutions we benefit from our grants, inducing change in all the research organizations. So we draw this roadmap, tackling firstly three of the different agendas of the RRI, which were really committed to our policies: the gender equality, research ethics and integrity, and open access, with the aim of introducing it only in our funding programs, but also in other complementary activities and the overall institution, as I said. And the key for that was being very conscious that we should do an effort on the RRI governance. So we built a specific structure for RRI within our institution, an RRI framework, and a monitoring plan, which will enable these activities to be more sustainable a long time. And so all these actions were implemented during the GRACE project, and now we are in the post-period project period after the GRACE project, sorry. So we are now consolidating this governance structure. We really are maintaining the working groups that I will mention right now, and in this sense, we are embedding the RRI issues and trying to be more consistent in all the activities that we fund. So how we implemented this, it was really a challenge. So at first we settled the working groups with more or less 30% of our staff. We also have policymakers participating in the working groups, and we had a lot of meetings. So we more or less did 11 co-creation participatory meetings in which we invited specific experts on the 3 policy agendas we were tackling at the beginning. So I think this was the key for raising the awareness and creating this knowledge that we needed to be implementing these changes. And on the other hand, raising the overall awareness. So we had a 2-year training plan and some guidelines who were addressed to all the staff of the agency. And the key, as I said, was to settle this governance. We did that from the top level, from the governance level, introducing all the RRI principles within our mission, values, and aligning it in all the activities. So just to mention that we had a lot of obstacles at the very beginning and resistance from the people which were managing the grants. At the beginning saw this as a burden, as more work in this sense. But all the training that we had and all the different activities on awareness helped to tackle all this lack of knowledge and skills. There were we have other type of constraints because, as I explained, we have 5,000 experts, which are the ones who are assessing our grants, and all the changes that we make in our grants. They should be aware how to assess them and how we want them to tackle them. So this is really one of our challenges. And the sustainability, keeping on with this crop creation process and the resources during all the period after the project ends is one of the challenges or risks that we have. Of course, I'll talk about the overload and different priorities of the management staff. Some critical issues here was the approval of the Board of Directors and the Ministry of Research or the policymakers in this sense of all these procedures and having RRI as a priority. And the evaluation and monitoring system that we have created to have an RRI tracker and to be able to respond and give different, as you already talked about the data, the importance of the data and the results. So this is one of the critical issues we are still working on, and how to exploit these results to give a further information and to society. But of course, there were lots of benefits about this mutual learning that we had during the project. The diagnostic tools and how to increase helped us to gain knowledge on how to tackle all these issues with our staff beyond the training activities. Our participatory tools in learning how to deal with co-creation methodologies during our meetings and our training sessions was essential. And also the experience of all what the project produced on the reflections tools for building the grounding actions, implementing guidelines, guidance documents for the different RRI agendas, the evaluation schemes, is, as Luciano said, a self-assessment was critical for us, so to be able to tackle what we have done and what we should aim at. And the mutual learning meetings, events, and webinars were also really needed. So I would say that the lessons learned about all these procedures and in the participation, specifically in the project, was that the key is to have a very participatory process, and the involvement of the relevant actors, in our case, the executive team, staff members, policy makers, and also external stakeholders and experts, even if they took a lot of meetings, was essential for enabling this change. We needed a high pedagogy effort, of course, because we started from scratch in terms of acknowledging the concept at least. And we had to relate it to the policies and examples of what was already done and what could be worked. So there was a lot of work there. The governance, as I said, embedding it in an institutional level and our practices is the key for being able to sustain all the practices. And of course, I think we really showed a balance between the co-creation and oriented approach, because we started from scratch in this sense, and people were overloaded with that type of work. They had to be a bit oriented on these practical terms and see what was useful for the daily work. I would say that now RRI internally is seen as a positive approach, as an approach for improvement and change, and not as a burden, as I said before, because it really enriched, they could see that it enriched the way of work as a teamwork, with a greater engagement of the different areas which are tackling different goals and working all towards an institutional goal. And of course, having a knowledgeable, motivated advisory work was, in our case, essential.